Obviously, a little different year for us is with the rules have changing with 4 hours a week in the summer for 8 weeks, and then 4 hours a week in the fall when school started, plus practice, plus our trip to Canada gave us 10 extra practices. So practice days. So we had practice and film sessions, and we're just a lot further along. And I'm sure every other team is as well. On October 8th than you're used to being. I mean, let's be honest, everybody still talks about Midnight Madness being October 15th. So the guys' attitude is they've been great. They're really working hard. We're trying to figure out a couple of things. But the main thing would probably be your biggest questions, too, is what will our best lineups be? What will our best rotations be in the game? And we're still working on that. You can have opinions, but until you play, it's hard because until you play somebody else, we play competitively in practice. So we rarely try to put what we might think is the best 5 guys on the same team. But we really don't have that because a couple of times we've done it and they didn't win. So that doesn't mean anything. It's a practice setting. So actually it's a good thing. So it's been very competitive. I think the older guys are trying to be more vocal. That's going to be huge for us. Not just, hey, good, great job, Dan. I mean, Dan, you need to rotate on defense. Talking to the other guys about where they need to be and what they need to do. That's probably – we lost a lot of scoring with Kyle. He got his tough baskets late in the clock. But Gary and Jacob, we lost their voice. And not their voice of rah-rah. Their voice of where to rotate defensively, when to rotate defensively, and the calm they brought to the offensive end. Both those guys played under control, played with great pace on offense. So, again, not their scoring or their statistics, just more of their playing winning basketball. So we're getting there though. So we just keep grinding away. But the guy got no complaints. The guy's been working really, really hard.
Coach, you talked about running the offense a little bit more through Jarron this year. How important is his passing going to be to helping some of the guys gain confidence?
Well, the most underrated thing about Jarron's is passing. So he was our leading assist guy in our last 15 games last year. So that's your hardest games. That's your opponents know you the most. You're in your conference season. They're not neutral games. You're playing a lot of road games. And for a sophomore to lead you in assist at the same time to shoot almost 44% from the field. I mean, he played really well down the stretch. But I'm confident in him. He knows basketball. He grew up in a gym, so he knows an assist is just as important as a basket. And if he just tries to get baskets, teams will force him into a lot of bad shots. So, being an all-around player is not something I have to sell him on. I mean, he really knows basketball. But I think the most important thing with him is keeping him out of foul trouble. Early in games, where last year it's not as big of a it's not that big of a deal. If he gets too early in the game, even like Gary got too early, you put Trey in. Kyle got too early, you put it's a little bit different, with our veteran guys. Like on our front line, E and Trey and Nas are all so far ahead of the other younger guys because the other 3 guys are freshmen. But, one of them goes in, or we could go small because Rashawn Frederick's like a veteran player, and we could play a small lineup. But with Jarron, in a high-level game right now, we're going to need him out there as much as we can have him out there. So you can't, that would be my biggest fear, like back to the SK days. You can't let him get too early fouls in a game. You got to train him. So if he reaches in and I call a foul on him, he has to do push-ups. He's not allowed to do stuff like that. He just can't have it. So I got to train him to have that mindset. In the second half, it's a little different. If he can get to the second half, and with only no foul or one foul, then you don't even have to think about it. You just play.
You touched on Rashawn a little bit. Could you talk about what he brings to the table? Those of us that haven't seen much.
He's highly. He's got. A lot of stuff that doesn't show in practice. I take back to a guy like Pete Michael was here. He was never a highly impressive guy in an individual workout, but then the game started, and his competitiveness and his toughness were just better than his opponents. He just outmanned people. He outwilled them. He outmanned them. He just found a way to do it. And that's what Rashawn's the leading rebounder in the history of his school at 6'4". Shows you how hard he plays and how tough he is. He can make shots as well. We've spent, since June when he got here, we spent all his time trying to develop his guard skills. Because he played more around the basket other than his three-point shooting. So the thing I told him this in recruiting, because he's a junior college guy, and I have a lot of experience bringing those guys in. You don't bring one in unless he's ready right away, and competitively he's ready. Like he plays hard enough from day one, and it's not as easy as it sounds, because for freshmen sometimes it can take them 2 years to play hard enough to be out there in a real game against a real team that has as good a players or better players than you. So he's got an innate toughness, and like I said, he can make open shots, and he's not a guy that's ever going to go back and be on defense and rest. You may make a mistake, but it's not going to be because he's resting. So his competitive toughness is good enough, and I knew that when I saw him.
As you mentioned, older players stepping up. What do you expect from two senior guards from a leadership perspective on and off the court?
A lot. We're not going to win if they both don't have good years. I just don't believe you win if you don't have if you have seniors. Nowadays some people don't even have them, but we usually have them. If you don't have good seniors that really are vested in your program and are determined to have a great senior year, you're in trouble, because they're the ones that are going to have the biggest sense of urgency because they know it's their last year. That's just the reality of college basketball. And I don't think it'll ever change. It's just, why would anybody have the sense of urgency? They all should be nervous for 4 years. No, bless you, that, tomorrow's not promised. But there's something about, a senior knows. It's it. This is it. It's the last season he's ever going to play in college basketball, and they usually have the biggest sense of urgency, and it permeates down through their team, one way or the other. So you're either leading people in the right direction by caring, or you're leading people in the wrong direction by not caring. You don't have to say a word. It shows in how you approach practice. It shows if you lose and your seniors act like they don't care, and they're the first guys that change their clothes, and they're going out with their girlfriend acting like they could care less that you lost. And it's just the reality of it. And I've been doing this a long time now. That's extremely more important than how many baskets Justin and Kane make, and they're going to score. I think they'll score. On a strategic thing, they'll both score a lot more points than they scored last year. So you're just going to have more opportunities. But I'm more concerned. That I'm not concerned with. That'll all take care of itself if they take ownership, and we're going to win or lose this year based upon how vested I am as a senior leader in this team. And I've talked to them about it all summer.
You mentioned the unknowns with the lineup. Do you envision going small more?
Well, I envision going small every day when I wake up. I've made it work somehow. You never know. I think, this day and age, what we try to do, we all do it differently. Look, and there's a lot of guys that are great coaches out there. They never change. We do it within games. I mean, there's a lot of times last year Trey Scott played the 5, and we had to match up with a small team. So we went small for defensive purposes. Because Gary and Kyle could shoot the 3, we didn't have to go small the last 2 years offensively, because the reason you would do it is that you need to open the floor up and have more shooting out there. But Trey's worked really hard on his offense. And there'll be times if we did do that, I think what you're alluding to, where you would see Rashawn in a 4-guard lineup, or even Jarron in a 4-guard lineup. Quiet as kept, Jarron might be our best post defender, just because you can't move him. He's built, the way he's built. Although he's lost 22 pounds since he got on campus, he's exponentially stronger. But he's very smart. He understands positioning, and he's extremely. Jacob was the same way. But in that scenario, we'd probably have him guarding the bigger guy. But yeah, I mean that'll happen. It just depends. Again, like I said, we're just trying to figure it all out. And the next question: will Justin and Kane play together? Yes. How much? I don't know. They could start together. I think that's the biggest question mark for me as a team. What's going to be our best lineup for us to win games? And we're obviously going to play a lot of guys. So who we start with may not be who we finish with. But rotations are important. You try to get a team into a rhythm. It could take a little longer for me to do that. The last couple of years it's been pretty easy because we had a lot of guys back. It was pretty cut and dried.
What does Logan Johnson bring, both in terms of his skill set and his mentality?
I think the hardest thing for a freshman point guard is dealing with a college coach that says you're never allowed to turn the ball over. That's a hard thing because in high school you got to try to score 20 to 30 a night. You can turn it over, you're not coming out. You're 100 times better than every other guy on your team. So it's an adjustment, but he's a guy that's going to have a tremendous career here because he's got size. He's really athletic. He can score in different ways. And late in the clock, he can create his own shot, or he can create a shot for his teammate. And that's really, if you're looking for a guard, you want to be able to say that. A guy that can create, he can create a basket, whether it's for himself or for his teammates, and he doesn't need a pick and roll to do it. If you can find guys like that can beat his man, make the right decision, finish the play, whether it's he creates a jumper, or whether he creates an assist, or he gets fouled, you got to have that. You got to have some guys who can break down the opponent's defense. He's one of those guys. He can do it. Now, the adjustment of trying to figure out our offense, what I want from him, all at the same time. And then you actually have to play defense at this level. You don't get to guard some guy that looked like me. He's got to guard guys like Kane. Little different cover for him than if he'd had to guard me.
The way he attacks the basket, has there ever been a point guard for UC like that?
Oh, I don't know. Right now, I mean, tough question. Yeah, you guys, I don't ever compare guys. So it's tough for me. And then if I do, you guys, you force me to do it, and then everybody acts like it was my idea. I said he was like this guy. But tough to say. I have to think about that. I'll get back to you. You got one for me? Disappointed in you. You're a historian.
He attacks the basket harder than
How important is developing your sophomores?
Well, in our program, we are committed to, when we sign guys, we spend our time. I try to spend all my time with our team, other than my time recruiting. My assistants spend a lot of time scouting our opponent. The older I've gotten, the more committed to. You got to develop your players, and you got to be committed to developing their game, because that's how we win around here. That's just the way it is, and that's why we've won. So, who are the sophomores?
Trevor, Keith, Eliel.
They're really important, but I would say that about all of them. I mean, extremely important. Is Trevor and Keith, their confidence on offense, their decision making, and then the fact that you got to actually be able to run up and down and not get tired and not get beat on defense and not forget what to do. That's the evolution of a guy. to where you say, well, what's it going to take for this guy to be able to play? He's got to be able to run up and down, not forget what to do, and not get beat on defense, not forget to block out. And then you got on offense, you got to be able to play with 4 other guys and read what's going on, read a defense. So making the shot is probably the last part of it. But I think that all those guys are extremely committed guys that work hard. Keith and Trevor and Eliel all work really hard. But you can't develop a guy that doesn't care. If he doesn't want to develop you, you could be John Wooden, you're not going to develop him. So we try to recruit guys that'll want to get. We kind of demand it too, though, once you get here. If you don't want to get better, we can't help you. So that's a big part of what we do. But it's easy with those guys. They love basketball. But they're going to be big for us. The guy always say this around here, we're not going to have the best 5. We got to have the best team.
With Prince coming so late compared to everyone else, do you consider a red shirt for him?
That's something that I offer every guy on the team, really. That's up to them. I don't do that to players. I think that's a fallacy out there. And in fact, I've heard that people have said that. That we'd have never discussed that. You get to games, if a guy's not, if a guy's behind and it's pretty clear to that player, I can tell you a long time ago, I take you back to a kid I recruited at Murray State, Tony Easley. Getting ready to start the season, I told him, you're probably not going to play. You're not strong enough. You're not ready. You probably ought a red shirt. Just my opinion, but it's up to you. Kids started crying. I said, well, Tony, don't cry on me. I don't want a red shirt. And I said, well, then don't red shirt. I didn't ask you. I said, you probably ought a red shirt. It's for you, not me. He said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, there's 0 chance of me being the coach at 5 years from now at Murray State. 0. Around here, you coach about 3 years and get another job, or you get fired. That would have been I'd have had to stay 8 years at Murray State to have coached him the 5th year. By the way, the 5th year, he still plays in Europe. He redshirted in his 5th year. He led Murray State to their first NCAA tournament win. We had been to 16 in the last 22 years, but he was on the team that they upset Vanderbilt because he blocked every shot. But it wasn't redshirting for me. There was 0 chance of me being there. You just, I love that place. I still got a lot of good friends there. But it's funny. He looked at me and goes, what do you mean, Coach? So that's the facts around here, buddy. They'll get rid of me. Can't stay here that long. So that stuff's all up to players at the end of the day. We're not like football where it's a little bit different story.
Mick, we're about a month out now from the opener. Just the excitement and the buzz of opening that building, the schedule y'all have. Mm-hmm. How exciting is it for you and this team to just get in there and open up the season with that buzz?
Well, first of all, I can tell you my players want to get in the locker room. So for a year and a half, they've been in a makeshift locker room around the corner from the Armory. Gets cold, can't control a lot of the draft back where they're at, and they've been soldiers about it. So you're talking about guys who won 61 games. More games than I think Villanova's maybe the only team's won more games outside the NCAA tournament than these guys. And so for them, they just want to get in the locker room. I don't know if they, because they're not going to the concessions and the bars and all the great stuff in the arena. They want their locker room. They want their lounge. There's a dining room. There's the training room. It's just life's going to be much better for them. Personally for me, it'd be nice to be able to play a home game. Although, Northern worked well for us, but I'm sure it's going to be a lot more convenient. But playing Ohio State is great for our program. Hopefully it's great for their program. Heightens the awareness of college basketball in our state. It can only help. Coach Holtman's, he's going to have top 25 teams. Hopefully we can keep doing it. And it's great for basketball in the state of Ohio. So, whenever the game's played. Obviously playing it as the opener and opening the arena with them maybe overshadows opening the arena. Just the fact that we're playing them first time on campus in 90 years or something like that.
With the departure of Clark and Kyle and more depth at the big man positions, can you see pushing the pace offensively more this year?
I think it's every coach, not everyone, some people walk it up. Every year I have the same answer to this. You got to try to, the best way to score is before the other team sets up. Hard to run when you got to take it out of the net. What I would say is that I think our bigger guys are much faster than Gary and Kyle. Gary wasn't the world's fastest. He wasn't winning any sprints, and Kyle tended to get a little fatigued. So running the floor was not their best attribute, but we still tried. So it all starts with defense. You can't run without the ball. So you got to get stops, you got to block shots, you got to get steals and deflections. The more you do that, the more you're going to be able to get out in transition. Running after made baskets, I mean, you can practice that all you want, but the other guy's going to practice getting back. So it's not, you got to be able to, you can score so you can press, and then you can disrupt people defensively. So I think, transition basketball is all starts with defense. 100%. But we always try to score in the first. If you can score in the first 8 seconds of the shot clock, your field goal percentage is going way up. Before you eliminate the other team's scouting report and you eliminate their coach.
The arena, you mentioned, like the stuff for the fans, the food, and all that kind of stuff. Can you put it in perspective from a player and recruiting standpoint what something like that means for the program?
Well, I've said this a lot. I'm not a recruit. You should ask our guys, but locker rooms matter. Lounges matter. Things that players, where they live every day, which is the locker room, the lounge, and the training room. Our new dining room, like all that stuff. That's where they live every day. Like they don't live out in the concourse. They don't live in the luxury suites. They're not going to live in the Jeff Wyler Mercedes bar. So that stuff to them is great. Now, to everybody else, but not to a recruit. Now, what affects recruiting? Attendance. At every school. If you look at attendance and you look at the top 3 schools in attendance over the last 20 years and look at their recruiting. I bet their classes probably their rankings tend to match their attendance. I mean, that's just the facts. So I think the arena being nowadays everything's on TV. So now hopefully we have an unbelievable arena that our fans hopefully love, and the games can be sold out. The games are consistently sold out, and the atmosphere is consistently awesome. That will help recruiting. The direct impact on it is what the players, what affects them every day, the stuff they care about outside their dog and their girlfriend is, where they go every day. But getting people in the seats is the key. And it's tough nowadays. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, every game's on TV. Everybody's got a flat screen. It's not 30 years ago. So having an arena that's a happening, when you come to this place, it's a social event. You have to have that. They can't just be, playing some old place, and not in this town. There's too many options for the entertainment dollar. We're not a college town buried in the middle of nowhere. So there's a lot of competition here. So we've got to have we're going to have a place for people to have a great time at, not just the game. It's not just the games, for people to have a great time. So you can get your girlfriend will actually want to come to the game now. Yeah, the diehards are coming anyway. You got to get the middle of the road. That's the whole key, and that's this place is going to be awesome. So I think we've definitely accomplished it.
Nothing more. Coach puts more importance on than senior leadership, and especially from a guard that handles the ball a lot. How's it been this offseason, just adjusting to those expectations and getting ready for the year?
I feel like it's been a good process. I feel like I'm gradually getting it, especially the leadership part. I didn't really know how much Gary and Jake really brought to the table in that aspect because we had an older team, but now we have a bunch of young guys. So he's really looking on me and Justin and Jarron and Trey a lot to kind of help be the soldiers, and instead of him having to go back and forth with us helping him lead the younger guys and kind of pulling them along.
You came here as a scorer, kind of had to pull that back a little bit last year because of who was on the team. Does it feel like now maybe you can get back to that and be a guy that can put a lot of points on the board?
Yeah, I'm definitely getting the feel. Coach has been on me to just shoot more and take open shots, not pass up shots when I got the chance to shoot. So this offseason, I've definitely been feeling like I've been getting back to myself as far as scoring wise. And I think I can help the team a lot and bring in some points when we need them.
We're about a month out from the opener, just opening the new arena, getting Ohio State in here. I mean, you start to feel the buzz around campus and around this team, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of excitement with just the building itself, but Ohio State being the first game is making it more excitement. I think we haven't played them since I think 1920 something. I think they're just trying to have a good game against them. They're a great program, so we just been trying to have all this great stuff coming together and show these young kids what it's like to play here at Cincinnati.
Just the excitement of getting another season underway. You guys about a month out, opening the new arena, everything. Just when you start to feel the buzz around campus about this team.
Yeah, I mean everybody's excited for the new arena, and we're ready to get in there and play against Ohio State.
We talked to you a couple weeks ago just about stepping up, having to be a leader. Can you start to see that in your own eyes? Start to see yourself take a bigger role on this team?
Yeah, a lot of people listen to me on the team, and they believe what I say. And Coach Cronin, I'm a smart player, and I just pick up on what he's saying, and it helps me progress my game.